Okay, we are here today to talk about the true story of Bradwell Windmill. As you can see, it's the afternoon. As you can hear, there are children playing just over there. Okay, so before we dive into the secret history of this windmill, the windmill was newly erected in 1817. The cost of the windmill was thought to be around £500. This is according to Milton Keynes Museum. In 1967, one of the sails was blown off in a gale and a second was removed for safety purposes. 2 years later, the mill was purchased by Milton Keynes Development Corporation, and in 1971 it was decided to restore the mill to full working order. Work began in 1976 but was not completed, and the mill was replaced into the ownership of Milton Keynes Borough Council in 1992. In 1993, one of the sails partially collapsed in severe weather, and so for safety reasons all the sails were removed in 1994. Now then, you may have noticed a lot of videos all about this windmill, Bradwell Windmill, and a ghost story linked to the windmill. However, I'm afraid to say that it's nonsense. So I'll explain why it's erroneous. As I said before, I walk past this place all the time. I've lived here pretty much all of my life since I was 4 years old, and one day I was walking past with my son and there was a whole bunch of people stood around here. The door was open, so a whole bunch of people outside the front door there, and the door was wide open, so naturally I figured that it was an open day and we could go in there. So I said to my son, let's go up there, let's go inside. You haven't been in there since you was like 5 years old. I don't think you can remember. Anyway, so as we approached, soon realised that it wasn't an open day, just a bunch of runners meeting up here to go running, and the door was open because the miller was here, which is a rare thing. Anyway, the miller came out, and because he was curious as to why we was right by the door, and I just said, okay, is this an open day? He said, no, but you're welcome to just bring your son in and just have a little look anyway. And I asked some questions, and of course I'm going to ask about whether the place is, do you know about the ghost story? Bradwell Windmill in Milton Keynes is known for its chilling ghost story, deeply rooted in a tragic love triangle and untimely death. While the current windmill was built around 1805, the legend itself is said to date back to 1685, suggesting a mill on the site long before the existing structure. The central figure in the haunting is the daughter of a local miller. She was reportedly courted by two young men,
a situation that unfortunately escalated into intense jealousy. In a fit of rage, one of her suitors murdered the other. For this crime, the murderer was condemned and hanged on the local gibbet. The young miller's daughter was utterly devastated by this turn of events. Having witnessed her lover's public execution, her heart was broken. Soon after, she was found dead within her father's mill. While some accounts suggest she tragically took her own life out of grief, others simply state she was found dead, implying the profound sorrow of the situation. Her distraught father is said to have discovered her body. Since then, the Bradwell Windmill is believed to be haunted by her tormented spirit. Visitors and locals have reported various paranormal activities, such as wretched cries and heartbroken sobs. Perhaps the most common and eerie report is the sound of her crying, often said to be heard at night. Some even suggest that if you put your ear to the door, you can hear her eternal heartbroken sobbing. Apparitions. There are mentions of her gaunt spectre gazing out of the upper windows of the windmill, and a general feeling of unease. The tragic history of the mill contributes to a pervasive sense of sadness or a haunting atmosphere. The story highlights the enduring nature of sorrow and the powerful impact of a life cut short by circumstance. The ghost of the miller's daughter serves as a poignant reminder of a dark chapter in Bradwell's history, forever linked to the old windmill.
The place is owned by the Borough Council, Milton Keynes Borough Council, but the miller that runs the windmill knows the history of this place inside out, and that is why that's why I'm telling you this is esoteric knowledge, because I spoke to the miller himself. He flat out denies that this is the correct windmill. That story, however, that story is true, but it is not linked to this windmill. Instead, it is linked to the windmill that existed in Bradwell Common, which is now, in place of that windmill, is now the primary school there. So there is no windmill there. So this place, Bradwell Common, was once all farmland. Bradwell Common is part of the Bradwell Parish Council, and Bradwell Windmill is what I should say really. It's just that I've been calling it Bradwell Windmill since I was a nipper. Well, to a child it makes sense because, you know, I lived in Bradwell, I grew up in Bradwell, and that's where the windmill is situated. That's where Bradwell Windmill is. Anyway, we're going to go to the site of where the actual windmill stood, which is the one related to the story of the lady who killed herself and supposedly haunted the place. So we're nearly there now. You have to imagine all of this was not here, which is farmland. Okay. Around here somewhere. Yep. Okay, to reiterate, you have to imagine that all of this was farmland, nothing was here. None of this was here. Okay, so this is Bradwell Common now, and in place of that school over there, that's where the windmill was, supposedly. That was the original windmill, linked to the ghost story, where the woman killed herself. Yeah, so it'd be around here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where. There is a horror story that's linked to this windmill. It's not supernatural, but my God, what do you want? Seriously, this is tragic enough. You don't need ghosts. Okay, so the miller the original miller back in the day that ran this place. He called for his son. Okay, no, he set the sails in motion thinking his son was inside the mill, but his son was outside of the mill playing here just by the front door there. The sail struck his son and killed him instantly. So the miller's son was here. He was playing outside, just on the right side of the door, and if you see the sail reaches down about here over the door. It struck his child, it struck his son, and he died instantly. And that's very tragic.